Well, following up on the watercolour yesterday that we did of the harbour in Cassis in Provence, slightly more traditional on that one. This one I want to do very, very loosely, pick up on a few salient points first of all, and work up some details, and then going very, very loosely around it. A technique I was shown by a lovely artist in New Zealand ages ago, where he did the details first and then finished very, very loosely and just hinted at things around. To give you an idea of this very lovely impressionist way of working with watercolour. What I'm going to do then is work up some details first, even then still fairly loose, and then come back to filling in the rest in a much looser background. Let's start with some yellow and just let it dry across this. Fairly strong at first, so I do want to come in around here quite a detailed way. Now I could have used masking fluid for this, or I could even have painted them in with a opaque paint over the top later on. But I've decided that I want to be very, very strong with my colour on this and just get this. There we go. The lettering in first as a detail. While I'm waiting on that to dry, I'll come down to this figure a moment and just whip in some colour there. I want to paint him in first. Leave a little halo of white around in there. That is against the light. Just flick these colours on down here. So here I'm painting wet into wet then. Get the effect of his head against the light, body against the light here. And then when I paint the wet around it, it'll all stand out more. Lovely colours in there. For me, I'm a colourist, I like to bring all these colours out. Let that dry off. Back and a little bit darker now on the figure still. There we go. Now we'll work around this area. And I want to cut in around this lettering. So I'm going to do this a bit more carefully, and then I'll come back to very, very loose painting around it. It's got that lettering around there, and go much more deeply around it later, but I've got the salient points is what I was after. I just want to pick up on areas like this with my smaller brush still before I work in much looser paint around it. To pick out what we call the salient points, the most important parts. We'll see why this is going to work shortly. And from here onward we should be able to do it very, very loosely, working back now from loose, back again to tight after that. Okay, now we're going to start on the looser painting, and I want to work up from these very light colours here, the oranges and yellows first. First thing I'm going to want then is my yellows. It's one of the lightest colours here. They're going to be coming right through here. I'm going to be working wet into wet and wet next to wet a lot. First of all, let's get all these, when you've got a colour on your brush, wherever it is, you've got to get it in, and we've got to keep the whole painting working at once. Not one bit is going to be finished, except for these earlier pieces where we've done this different technique. Nice strong colours. Big brush, using my nice big oval mop again for this job. I've got to do this while it's still, all of it's still wet, so I've got to drop one colour into another. Must do this fast, because if it dries it will spoil it. So I've got to get all of this in very quickly here. Just plonking the colour in and letting the controlled accident do the work. Right down into here, through. The violet coming into that. Beautiful colours now. As I say, let the controlled accident do the job. And smashing colours amongst this. Very loosely. Now we need to bring in the cools. And we'll let those blend in with this. It's amazing how loose you can work this way. These lovely effects of the accident with the watercolour. I'm going to start to indicate some forms in this. Working from our lightest colours then through to our darkest. Here. Into much deeper blues. To get really lovely deep colours into here shortly. Really darks going on. to get the beauty of watercolour that we can only get with watercolour, this luminosity, this effect of light that you cannot get with using a more opaque or solid paint this way. Feel these, start to get some of these details just indicated in here. Where it's gone dry there, I've got to work fairly quickly because I'll bring some greens down to there in a minute. Get these lovely, really deep darks into here, right round here. These Russian paints are great for this sort of painting because they're so strong and so vibrant. Now let's start to look at some of the greens going on up in the trees. So we'll take some yellow, drop it back up into here. Can afford to do this now. Over the top of this, and we can drop green into that to get the effect of trees here and leaves. Really, really loose. So I can bring the greens and the blues into the greens more here. Back down here, let's have a look at the same things happening down here. We'll take that lovely yellow and plaster it across here. Comes right the way down, it comes behind this bit here. Now I can take my green into there again the same way, while it's still wet. Can now start to feel the railings up there. The green comes into this colour as well here. Lovely and loose right down through here. We want that deeper green now. Lovely, rich colours. Let's say that the control lux doesn't do the work. Totally different to that painting we did yesterday with the boats and the harbour, because in this case we're working up very, very loosely here now. Back to our turquoise here, lovely turquoise that comes down into here, right through into down around this figure slightly. Down there. into the darker, deeper, warmer greens. I'm going to take some burnt sienna into my blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna into the blue to give me that lovely, deep, rich colour right down through into there. More blue here as it comes out into the light, to cross down here, across the tree. Now just the blue, but a warmer blue this time. Start to feel some of the trees coming in behind here with that. Just start to feel them now. A bit warmer, bits of burnt umber coming in there. There's a bit more purple into the branches of the tree here, just indicate these branches. Trunks coming down through here. Now watercolour's well on the way there. Do a lot more really to it. Bring some of these bits of leaf that are coming darker through. And we'll come back up into the details of the railing here a bit more. I might need a finer brush for this, but we'll just indicate those railings in there. And this is where I could start coming in now with a finer brush, which I will do in a minute, just to pick up on final details. Because as a loose watercolour, we're almost there, and it's only these details that we need to do now. Get a nice lively loose painting. And that's what I'd like to feel that we've achieved, as we've got an effect that we couldn't have got with any other medium other than a liquid medium like this. Now we can take these back a little, with just glazing some water over and making them not quite so strong in the foreground here. Put them in the half light. Our little watercolour's almost there, so what I'm going to do now is come down and sort some detail out. Back to my small brush, and we'll just work on final details. Things like this up here, for instance, where I want to look at these, some fancier work in the filigree work and so on up here that just want to indicate as being about the wrought iron work up here. Not quite dry enough there to do it there, but just pick some of this out. Even a bit of dry brushwork here and there like this, just to drag across the surface and indicate things. You can see now how that these last marks can just pull things together a bit, can't they? So they give a feeling of things that are happening here, an impression of them. A very, very loose impressionist piece there, showing just how much fun we can have with watercolour, painting in this style. At the end of it we can put on quite heavy paint like I'm doing now. It's quite dark back in there. I think we're about there for that painting. I don't think I need to do a lot more. A bigger brush and just work a little more deeper blue down, blue-green down into there. Richer colour. There we are, that'll do that one. So, nice quick one. Little bright watercolour for you. There's no last touches need doing. Which that comes off there as well. Well, there we are then. Little lively loose watercolour. Bit of fun, totally different to the last one. My much looser, more impressionist watercolour style, which I really enjoy doing. And this style of New Zealander where he works up the details first, then goes back to loose and then just times up at the end. It's quite fun, isn't it?